Hello and welcome to the Freedom Stein Laboratory. It is December the 16th, 2025, and I literally just got done watching for the second time Candace Owens' episode from today, this evening, with her, I guess, telling us all about the meeting she had with Erika Kirk. I don't even know how to describe what she just did because I don't even think that describes it. Nothing burger is how I'd put it. And I actually commented under it. Usually I don't leave a lot of comments, but I commented under it. I said, this was a nothing burger. And one of the questions that wasn't asked that I thought for sure would be asked and covered is, did Erika Kirk see the autopsy report? If you haven't watched it yet, maybe don't waste your time. I can't imagine that Erika Kirk and Candace Owens sat down in a room together for 4.5 hours and we really got nothing from it. The only key takeaways that I really got was Candace said, what I want to get from this meeting is that if you guys want me to believe that Tyler Robinson is the one who shot Charlie Kirk and murdered him, beyond a shadow of a doubt, you need to tell me what you have on that makes you so confident, because everybody over on, I guess we would call it that side, the Tyler Robinson is guilty no matter what, which Megyn Kelly made clear to us all today as well, that she's totally over there. You got to tell me what you've got there. I mean, clearly you guys have something for you all to be so confident about that. And Erika Kirk was like, well, probably it would be best for us to put you on the phone with a lawyer. And we don't know what lawyer this was, how it's related, this he, she, whoever is related to the case, if they're part of the prosecution, if they're just investigating things, if they're a lawyer for TPUSA representing them. Who knows? That's what we were told. A lawyer got on the phone. Okay. And while Candace is talking to this lawyer, she finds out that they basically have just what we all have. Whatever came out on the affidavit, that's what they've got. Which I'm sitting there going, I don't know how anybody could be very confident when that's all you've got. And if I was Erika Kirk and I heard that comment, I would be like crying, going, well, Tyler Robinson's going to get off. I mean, what do they have? His DNA is on a gun that belonged to the family. Okay. So guns can be planted all the time and on a towel. Okay. I mean, if that's what you've got, all I can say is for everything that's been presented to us, if I was on the jury, I would have reasonable doubt. And if you have reasonable doubt, you cannot convict. So I would be like, oh my God, I'm going to have to let this guy off. So we got that out of this. Supposedly, we got the Mikey McCoy call logs. Should I do my winky winky? And Candace took it hook, line, and sinker. I mean, you can't really alter those things, I guess. First of all, we didn't see a copy. We just saw, I don't know if they were notes that Candace took and then she typed them out. And then she even got that wrong. She said that there was a phone call from a Danny McCoy to Mikey McCoy before everything started rolling on this call log. And then she had to correct herself and say, so they were watching real time, of course, and correcting anything that she was saying. So we know for sure that somehow they have communication with her and we're making sure that she didn't go off script, maybe. And oops, she went off script right there. You got to fix that. Apparently, this Danny is some other assistant to, I don't know if he was an assistant to Charlie or an assistant to Mikey. I'm not sure, but it wasn't Danny McCoy. But anyway, as we're going through the call log, she didn't say if she actually pinned Erika down and said, hey, have you watched the video? Mikey McCoy was on the phone before Charlie's even shot. And then he just like walks away like nothing happened and is still on the phone. I mean, it's like he was on the phone, kind of put it down for a minute and then put it back up again. None of that was discussed at all. Basically, what we get from the call log is that Mikey McCoy was on the phone with his wife. We don't really know exactly when that started, possibly right when the shot rang out. It's all very muddled. let's just say, I think everybody is just as confused or more confused than they were before. And then he brings onto this call. So he's doing like these three-way calls. He brings on Erika about, I don't know, it was maybe 2 minutes into it. And then he gets Eric off the phone after a couple minutes, and then he brings his dad on and, makes whatever conversation with him. And then he talks to his wife for another. I mean, it's like he was on the phone with his wife for 10 minutes. Then he talks to Erika, his dad, and then he's on the phone with his wife for another 10 minutes and then off the phone, I guess. I don't know. It was all very confusing. I actually could probably go on here and see if I can find where Candace has the let me see if I can find that here with the actual call log. The other thing we found out is that when Andrew Colvett made his whole thing about the magic bullet, and he had talked to the surgeon. Here we go. I've got it here. That wasn't really sanctioned for him. Like he said, well, I know that they say with HIPAA law that, I shouldn't have been able to have that information, but I was given permission. And Erika Kirk's like, we didn't even know that he was talking to a surgeon. He wasn't necessarily at the hospital that we know of. And why would the surgeon be okay with telling him that information? He doesn't even know this guy. So it sounds like it was just a bunch of BS that Andrew Colvett made up. So we might have gotten some information there. Let me go in here and go ahead and look at this. So here we have the Mikey McCoy call log. So this Danny McCoy at the top that calls Mikey McCoy, this was a screw up. And then we've got about 20 minutes later, Charlie Kirk is shot. Charlie's brought to the SUV by a security detail. And then Mikey McCoy calls Elizabeth McCoy, and they're going to stay on the phone for 10 minutes. Okay. We go from 23 to 24. So, maybe this is not a full minute, 30 seconds, something like that. How in the world, how is he on the phone and then not on the phone? This doesn't take care of the whole, why was Mikey McCoy already on the phone about the time that Charlie's getting shot? Then they also throw in this whole thing with Blake Neff calling his mother 45 seconds, and then he ends his call with his mother. So apparently they brought Blake Neff's call logs too. We really don't care about his. Then at 12:26, so we're talking about 3 minutes after Charlie's been shot, he adds Erika to the call. They talk for a couple minutes. She's gone, and then Mikey McCoy brings his dad on, and his dad is off the phone in 2 minutes. It's like these 2-minute phone calls, basically. And then 2 minutes after that, he ends the phone call with Elizabeth McCoy. And then this Danny McCoy, which again was another error, calls Mikey McCoy again. And then they stay on the phone for 10 minutes. So I guess this was our big revelation. What's interesting is that now it says, okay, we've got 1.1, almost 1.2 million views of this, but there's 14,000 comments. There's mine at the top, and I did it under my History Goes Bump account. So this feels like a nothing burger. I'm wondering why Candace didn't ask if Erika had seen the autopsy report. I'm actually surprised there's 64,000 thumbs up on this. But anyway, I didn't see one positive comment under here about, wow, this was great. Thanks, Candace, for sharing this. We learned so much. Literally everybody under here is like, I want to just get off the internet. I'm done. Is she controlled opposition? Or there's a lot of people now that are really going with Charlie is alive, and they told her that's why she's so chipper and everything's great. Because she seemed really chipper after having this conversation. Is that what possibly happened here? I don't think so. I believe that Charlie is actually dead. I don't think this was a faked thing. Candace also talked a little bit about, people had asked her about Baron Coleman and him talking about Charlie being electrocuted. And she goes, yes, I've seen the burn pictures, but she goes, his hands were not burned. So I don't know how she knows that for sure. She thought it was the angle of the pictures, which I thought when I looked at the pictures, believe me, in the paranormal, I have a lot of pictures that get sent to me about people who are like, look, it's a ghost. And I have maybe a couple of pictures out of thousands I've had sent to me that I'm like, okay, that's pretty weird. That might be something. Most of the time it's pareidolia. You know, you see things that you want to see, you make human faces out of stuff. So I think kind of the shading on those electrocuted hands that are burned might just be the lighting. It could be blood staining on the one that looks like it's a burn. He says his one hand just looks completely fried. I don't know. I'm not convinced on him being electrocuted. And the main thing is, it's kind of like when people come at you with the flat Earth theory and stuff. It's like they make some good points, but then you're like, but there's a couple of major questions I have. And unless you hit those, I really am not going to get there with you. It's kind of the same thing here with he's got a big wound in the front of his neck that had all this blood. I mean, when you're electrocuted, that doesn't happen. So where did that come from? So you got to take care of that before you're going to convince me that anything else happened. Candace did indicate that she's going to continue talking about what was it, Fort Wachusa? I don't know how to say the thing. Anyway, the whole Harry informant that she had, that Valhalla VFK kind of said, I don't think anything's real there. I think it's just kind of a made up story that this guy's feeding her. Candace apparently still going with that. So she's still going to keep talking about it. I'll be interested to see what else she comes up with because I was pretty convinced with the things that Valhalla was saying about that I'm like, I don't know. I mean, he would know. He was a former Green Beret and he's calling this guy on some of the stuff in his story, some of the elements. So I don't know where I'm going to go with that. Um, I wrote down a few of the things here. Um, Apparently, Candace was also talking about how she said that Charlie Kirk had sent a message out the night before that they're going to kill me. And Erika's like, I don't think that was such a thing. But then when she went back through, I don't know if it was some signal. Again, this was the most confusing revelation video I've ever watched. I'm like, why did it feel like word salad? And I'm more confused than I was before. But anyway, apparently, then when Erika went through and looked through some other messaging stuff, I don't know if it's Telegram signal or what have you, she was like, oh, yeah, okay. So with Andrew Colvett and Dan Flood, he did send messages. And it wasn't necessarily that they're going to kill me, is that it was the left is going to kill me. So, I mean, it's a big distinction when you think that it might be something other than the official story we've been told. Um, I think that's pretty much all that I really got out of it. Erika hasn't seen anything that we haven't seen, so I don't know why she's so confident. And they're not even going to have a probable cause hearing until May. So we're really not going to get a whole lot of stuff until then. And then Candace just spent a lot of her time going after Tim Pool because now you got to love this about Tim Pool. He says that Candace is just out here throwing all this stuff against the wall and she's giving no receipts, has no proof for it. She's just making stuff up. And then he comes out and says ludicrous things and has no proof for it. Today, he reiterated again, or actually, I guess this would have been a show from yesterday. I was listening to it today because I wanted to see what he had to say about Candace and Erika having their meeting. And he was like, uh, Candace Owens, she uses the same security as Charlie Kirk, even though he had been ranting the week before and calling her the C word, see you next Tuesday and F this and F that and all this other effing. She doesn't even have security and we have to worry about security, but she doesn't, and blah, 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 blah. And now all of a sudden she does have security and it's the same stuff that Charlie Kirk had. And she came out on this episode and said that that was absolutely ludicrous. Then he also said that, and she didn't address this, but that she was going around telling everybody in the weeks before Charlie Kirk died that she hated Charlie Kirk. I would love to hear her say something about that because he said that more than once. And again, he doesn't give any receipts for any of that stuff. And then he just says, well, we're working on some stuff behind the scenes and we'll be able to come forward with more stuff later. And it's like, how are you any different than what Candace is doing then. I just love these people. And again, the comments under the video are worth it. Go look at the comments under the video, even if you don't watch it, because you will see how we are all so incredibly frustrated right now. That it's like, first of all, having this meeting in private. Why do you do things in private? Because you want to keep secrets. Because they certainly didn't reveal anything. It's not like we're going to give you insider information that if it gets out, it could ruin the trial. That didn't happen. So why did this need to be in private? Why was this not recorded and put out for us? And again, 4.5 hour meeting. And Candace basically talked about it for maybe 45 minutes without a lot of detail. And she joked at the beginning, like, oh, I'm all for Israel and everything again, and Shabbat Shalom and all this other stuff. But I think a lot of people are going to wonder, did you flip about 180 degrees here? We'll see how things go in the next few shows that she does. She says she's going to keep doing what she was doing. So what was there to thaw? I don't know. And I still hold on to the fact that when I see Erika Kirk anytime recently, whether it was with the Barry Weiss thing or what have you, I just can't get over that feeling that there's something about her that just isn't right anymore. And I don't know if it's just the way that she's now grieving and handling things, and if she's like in her anger mode, and so she's just coming across as demonic. But I mean, I don't know. I don't know how you can't watch the recent videos with her, especially that Barry Weiss CBS town hall, and not be like, wow, there's something not right there. So I would love to know your opinion after you watch the Candace Owens thing. Did you feel the same way that I feel, that this was a nothing burger, that we're not being given any more information? Clearly, there wasn't anything really discussed that much. And even the Egyptian planes, Candace brought it up for just kind of a fraction of a second and was like, well, I need to go through and do this timeline because they were in the same area as turning point events, but Erika wasn't necessarily there on that date and things got screwed up. I don't know. So I don't know if she's trying to backtrack from the Egyptian plane thing or if she just wants to make it more solid. She seems to be like, there's no question. There's something to these Egyptian planes, and it's going to be clear after I do the timeline, and we'll see. So far, not a lot of things have been plain. And one thing I know is that I'm sure people like Ian Carroll and Baron Coleman, Valhalla, Dee Dee Got a Podcast, Coach Colin, all these guys that have been out here doing this, I have a feeling they're going to continue to dig in no matter what. So for those of you who just want to shut down the internet and you're done with it, and you've been taken for a ride, just remember that Candace is, got a big audience, makes a lot of money. So that might be affecting things. Maybe pay attention to some of the people who aren't in that same place. Wanted to get into the Megyn Kelly thing really quick. Obviously, I was like, oh, is she going to have Candace on for an interview? And that's why she doesn't want to have a say in this. Or is she going to be like moderating the TPUSA, Candace Owens live stream thing, or involved in that in some way? And I was kind of right about that. I guess what happened is when Blake Neff screwed up the whole inviting Candace to do the live stream with them, they realized that was screwed up. We need some help. Erika called Megyn Kelly and was like, can you help facilitate some kind of a meeting here with Candace? And Megyn said, I would be happy to, and moderate and do all that stuff. So then when she contacted Candace, Candace is like, yes, I absolutely am in, especially if you're going to be, moderating things and handling things, because I, feel like you're fair and everything. And then things kind of fell apart and they couldn't get their schedules right or whatever. But anyway, Megyn Kelly really is just trying to be Switzerland here. She likes everybody involved. She said she absolutely loves Erika. Of course she has to say that because she's part of the TPUSA family, really, and speaking and doing all that stuff with them. It'll be interesting to see these speeches at AmFest. I wasn't really going to watch because I'm just done with TPUSA. But I was like, well, I do want to see Tucker. It'd be interesting to see what Megyn has to say. I just want to get a feel for what they're going to be talking about. It might be really interesting now that we're kind of moving along here. But I just kind of feel like I know some people were calling Megyn Kelly a coward. I don't know that she's a coward, but she clearly just wants to play in the center and be Switzerland or whatever and not make anybody angry and make everybody happy, which means you're not going to make anybody happy. You got to follow your heart. And maybe she really does feel like um, this is following her heart. She says, I feel like this is where God wants me to be. Okay. Well, if you think that God is pulling all the strings here, I don't. And I don't think he's controlling all of that. And I don't think he's put you in the middle because that's where he wants you to be. Um, I wish he would come out on one side. It sounded mostly to me like she is totally in the Tyler Robinson did this. I have no doubt about it. And but I like Candace, and it's okay for her to do her investigating too, because obviously she's very distraught over what happened to Charlie. And again, all these people that are so positive it was Tyler Robinson. One thing I do feel for sure after watching this Candace Owens episode is that they got nothing on this. So why anybody feels confident on it and we're good to go. I have noticed that some of them are starting to teeter over to the, well, maybe he had some help. There's some other people involved. It wasn't just him. So I'm glad we're kind of cracking into that. But at the most, I kind of feel like he's a Lee Harvey Oswald and didn't really do anything that day. And you're just patsy, basically. I think Tyler Robinson is probably a patsy and wasn't really involved hardly at all in any way. I don't know. Again, love to know your guys' opinion. Um, I think that's it for me for this evening. I just really wanted to get this out because I wanted to just like my brain was ready to explode and I just needed to talk about it. So I hope you don't mind my ramblings. You guys take care.